So there's a scam going around, and it's been around for a while. This is how good AI is. AI can generate anybody's voice. And I'm going to duet a video of a man who testified to this same type thing that happened to him in regards to him getting a phone call and regarding his son. And it's a scam. But this is what AI can do. It can generate your voice or anybody's. So this happened to my dad many years ago. So that's how long it's been around. He got a phone call in the middle of the day saying that his grandson was in Mexico. He had been drinking and driving. He had hit a woman and hurt a woman that was pregnant or something like that. And he was in jail. And so they put what my dad thought was his grandson on the phone for just a few minutes, saying, you know, yeah, Grandpa, can you help me out? I need money. I need to get, okay. And then they take the phone back saying that they're the sheriff or they're the authorities and that this is where he can send the money. So this disturbed my dad because that voice on the other end sounded like his grandson. It was but it was AI generated. Because my dad panicked, obviously, called me, and while I was on the phone, I texted my sister asking where my nephew was, and was not in Mexico, was at work. This so shocked my dad because I was still on the phone with him. I was texting my sister that my sister had to have her son call my dad, his grandpa, to say, no, I'm fine. I'm at work. That's how real the voice was, sounding exactly like him. But it wasn't. And so this duet I'm going to put up, and this was several years ago, as I said. So it was very troublesome to my dad. And this gentleman that I'm going to duet, that testified about this, he said it was very disturbing to him too, because it was the exact voice of his son. And so he couldn't wrap his head around it. Well, that's AI that does it. So that's the downside to them having all your user data. And you can't backtrack. So for people that think, you know, no, I just won't go on this site and I'll be safe. I'll put up a VPN. I'll be safe. No, they didn't. Look, by the time the science lets you know about the stuff they come up with, they've already been using it for many years. And in this case, with this AI generated voice, they've been able to do it for many years. As I said, this, I want to say this was back in 2016. It happened, or 17. So, the reason people will believe it is because of it sounds exactly like their family member. So be aware of that, especially, you know, look out for older people in that regard, because you know, scammers like to target the elderly population. I think that they're the sickest people. I don't mean the elderly. I mean the people that target the elderly. It's like they really should just be put in jail for the rest of their life, because they're going after that population because they're not as up to date with technology. I mean, I'm not even that up to date with technology. I don't even think a lot of people are aware of what technology can do. It can replicate you, everything. So, and there's a slippery slope there because there's people, that's why, you know, you have your Nikki Haley's, I can't stand her. You know, the one that's running for office, just totally a disloyal person, but she shows she's just a warmonger. She's somebody, you can tell she's a military industrial complex person. She likes war. So she's probably from Yale or Harvard, like Vivek is. Yeah, Vivek Ramaswamy, he's also tied to the World Economic Forum. I know he's the best probably on the whole panel, but he's a Yale Harvard guy, and he's tied to the World Economic Forum. He is very personable though, isn't he? He's very good. Anyway, but the way they could use this again is to take your freedoms away to keep you safe. So there has to be a fine balance here. But there really should be harsh penalties for those that target the elderly. because they're targeting them because they know they can likely trick them. As I said, and this duet that I'll put up, the guy said it was very upsetting to him, like, for a while after it happened, because it wasn't your typical scam. This was, there was no doubt that was his son's voice, except it wasn't. It's just, when you don't know about the technology and what it can do, well, and because there's been so much secrecy with our government, some of it not secret, it's just we've never looked into it. But they can do AI generated voices for a while. So that's why we need to get a whole, that's why I just mentioned in a video I posted how, the solution to this is to get rid of the people that are heading up the institutions. They need to go. And then, and yes, there has to be a way to break up the hospital systems. Once you break them up, then you can return each hospital to working on just their community. Focusing on the community. When you have hospitals that are just focusing on their community, I'm not saying they can't work with other hospitals, but have that independent hospital system, then you're going to have staff again. You'll have quality of care again because you'll have the staff that's needed. You'll go back to what it used to be 35 years ago before unethical and immoral people with too many degrees started running it. Yeah, before they brought in businessmen to run healthcare. Not that businessmen can't have a heart, but I've yet to find a CEO in any hospital that, well, because they're all going along with the same thing. So none of them seem to have a moral compass, but they love to use their values. These are our values. Yeah. I've yet to see a hospital that can live up to those values, not in an honest way. But they'll convince their entire staff they do. So, yeah, that's all that stuff can be managed, that kind of those scams, and you can actually fix a ton of problems, but not until all leadership that's running every institution, that's tied to the government, that is. So you're a hospital, a medical, nursing associations, your Education Federation for teachers, all of those agencies that have all those lobbyists, okay? We'll get rid of lobbyists. That would be the number one thing. But is get rid of the people. You may have to just dismantle these organizations because the thought process through and through these associations is likely the same. There's not people, they've been totally controlled by this is what we do, this is what care and empathy look like, and they don't have a clue, and yet they don't have enough sense to sit back and look over the history of their organization itself. And have you actually been, have you been somebody that solved problems? Have you decreased the suicide rate? Have you and papers aren't alone telling you. What do your eyes tell you? So when we have people that are truly innovators, and it not necessarily about all these degrees, I don't mean you shouldn't have a degree for whatever industry you're in, but I mean, you don't need to have a master's degree. If you have a master's degree, you're likely just going to go along with everybody else that has a master's degree, and look at where that's gotten us. So yeah, all of these problems truly can be fixed once all leadership at the head of every institution is dealt with, and in some cases the institution itself eliminated, because it may be too much of an infection, and those people think that they're operating from a place of empathy and care, but they don't even have enough insight to see how health equity is a socialist, racist plan for healthcare. So you need people that can actually think outside the box. Those are actually the problem solvers that will lead to positive outcomes.